Welcome to the lesson walkthrough for Lesson 2 of the Cold War. You will need the lesson resources purchased from our TED shop. You'll also need the YouTube channel with our playlist for the Cold War for any clips that are related to this particular lesson. You'll also need copies of the 9-to-1 GCSE history textbook from edXcel. A pen and paper is completely optional if you want to make some notes about some of the best ways to deliver this lesson. So we start off with the date and title, how did the atomic bomb change the Big Three? The objective is effectively just to recap what the Big Three is, what drove them together, and then the explosion of the atomic bombs within Japan, but also then the impact of those atomic bombs on the relationship of the Big Three. So there are 3 recall questions here, tapping in from the content from Lesson 1. If you haven't purchased Lesson 1, it's effectively about the formation of the Grand Alliance, and these are 3 recall questions that you really need to know the answers to in order to access this lesson here. As always, there's a timeline. You can print this off and the kids can stick it in their book. These are all the key dates for the first inquiry that we run here at HSA about the Cold War, about the origins of the Cold War. And here we get into the lesson itself. So it's quite a bit of recap here, just going back over the story that 1941, Hitler makes his 2 key mistakes. And we have the formation of the Grand Alliance. Grand because they are the 3 biggest of the things that they're good at. America, biggest economy. USSR, biggest country. UK, biggest empire. And we also talked in the first lesson of the Cold War about the times that the Big Three met at at Tehran and then Yalta. And we talked about the significance of D-Day, about that second front, and we also talked about the defeat of Germany. And so when they meet at Yalta in February 1945, there's a real hot potato issue here about the future of Poland. Remember, Poland is the invasion route in and out of Europe and the USSR. Whoever controls Poland controls a really important geopolitical asset. And this is the defeat of Germany. And then we have this. At the Potsdam Conference, the Big Three has changed. And we've got Stalin, and in the middle we have Harry Truman, President Truman. President Roosevelt died in the early months of 1945, and he was replaced by Harry Truman. Now Stalin saw this as an interesting move because no one had ever heard of Truman before, and Stalin had built up a very personal relationship with FDR. Not only that, but you'll notice that there's no Churchill here. So in July 1945, Churchill was replaced with Clement Attlee. And so Stalin starts to meet 2 very, very new people. And Stalin is a person who builds up personal relationships. He's not someone that builds up a relationship with a country. He builds up a very personal bond. And he has built up a personal bond with FDR and with Churchill. But both of those leaders are now being replaced. Truman also realizes this is how Stalin works. So he needs to send a message to Stalin, even before the conference begins, that Truman is someone not to be messed with. So this has exploded. This is the atomic bomb in the desert, in the Nevada desert. Its destructive power had been rumoured for some time, but by testing this weapon before the 3rd conference, really Truman is giving out a key message here, which is America has this super weapon, this weapon of mass destruction, and so America should be taken seriously. There is then a video about the dropping of the atomic bombs on Japan. The video goes through a little bit of information about basically reconstruction of what happens. Go to our YouTube playlist. You'll find it on the under Lesson 2, the Explain section. It lasts about 5 minutes. It's just really good for encapsulating the power of this particular weapon. And here we got some images here. This is the before and after of Hiroshima. And here we go, 6th of August 1945, bombing of Hiroshima, 140,000 people killed in seconds. When I teach this, I tend to click my fingers. 1 second, done. 140,000 people dead. Just like that. The Japanese still don't get the message. On the 9th of August 1945, Nagasaki's bombed. This time, 74,000 people killed in seconds. 15th of August, under the threat of a 3rd atomic bomb, Japan finally surrenders, and this is really the true end of World War II. And now we get into the Explore section. So there is a page of information within the pack from the TED shop about the final conference at Potsdam. They just need to capture a few details about some of the key agreements and disagreements of that final conference, and then we get the kind of more interesting stuff here about the impact of the atomic bombs. So there's a worksheet here, you can print this off, and using pages 14 and 15 of the 9-to-1 Edexcel textbook from Pearson, they'll be able to fill in this sheet, no problem at all. There's also a purple pusher challenge, which is looking at the impacts of a nuclear explosion on people. There's a bit of reading there if you want to stretch and challenge your more able students. And so that's the lesson walkthrough. Thank you for purchasing the lesson. We really appreciate your feedback. Please do leave a review on our TED shop to tell us how the lesson went. Thank you.